Hello again, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Joe Hendy, the Android Authority app guy, and after a long year, it's time to wrap up the best Android apps and games from 2020. We'll do apps first and then games second, with links for everything in the video description below. Let's start with Firefox. The application technically wasn't launched in 2020, but Mozilla basically rewrote and relaunched the browser with its Firefox Daylight update. The browser received many of the best security features from Firefox Focus, its privacy browser, along with an enhanced tracking protection feature for better security and privacy. The UI was revamped for a lighter, cleaner look. There is also a light and dark mode, picture-in-picture support, better extension support, and tons of under-the-hood changes. I've been using this as my main browser since Daylight dropped, and it's way better than before the update, and it even uses less battery than Chrome does, at least on my phone. Mozilla has a massive blog post outlining all of the changes if you want to learn more. Pokemon Home was one of the bigger app releases in 2020, even if it's an extension for the Pokemon games. Pokemon Home lets players upload their collections from various games, transfer them to other games, and perform some additional functions. You can even trade Pokemon with other players around the world, receive mystery gifts, and check out the National Pokédex. This is obviously only useful for people who play the core Pokemon games, but the fact that you can trade your Pokemon with your phone, download the new Pokemon to your game, and play with it is really cool. Plex Amp is a music player for people who use Plex servers. Plex is frequently listed as a good alternative to Google Play Music for people with their own music library. Plex Amp gives you a top-notch music app to listen to that music. It all works out pretty well. The application has an excellent UI, gapless playback, fade-in and out features, and you can download music from your Plex server to your phone for offline play. Plex was already great for video and image content, but Plex Amp made it great for audio content as well, and it couldn't have come at a better time with the sunsetting of Google Play Music. Plex costs money to use, but Plex Amp is a free app. Zoom also technically wasn't launched in 2020, but it was arguably the most popular and influential app of the year. It had a ton of issues on the onset because it gained popularity so fast and it wasn't quite ready for it, but it eventually ended up fixing almost all of those issues over the course of the year. It boasted over 300 million active daily users just a few months ago. The features are pretty good. You can conference with up to 100 people, there's a whiteboard feature, a screen share feature, a text chat, and end-to-end encryption for everybody as of October 2020. It's far from perfect and plenty of people have run into bugs, but Zoom's catapult from obscure startup to essential daily tool is something you just don't see very often. Since it wasn't actually released in 2020, we gave it the runner-up for our Android App of the Year. The biggest innovation in Android apps in 2020 was the Exposure API from Google. Apple has a similar one for iOS as well. Apps built with this API help track COVID-19 exposure without actually revealing any of your personal details. It uses Bluetooth to anonymously handshake with anyone you come close to, and if any of those people report that they have COVID-19, you get a notification letting you know so that you can take the proper steps. You can also report your COVID-19 diagnosis so other people can be warned if they came into contact with you. It's quite the tool, especially when you consider how reactionary it was to a global pandemic that started less than a year ago. The only unfortunate part is how few regions around the world have access to it, and with the vaccine rolling out, we may not see the true benefits of this until the next global pandemic, but hopefully that's not for a really long time. At least the framework is built in now, so we won't have to wait so long next time. Riot Games released a couple of mobile games this year. The first was Legends of Runeterra. It's a strategy card game where you choose a champion, combine cards, and defeat your opponents. It also has some social features, and you earn cards as you play. You can buy cards you want, but they're pretty easy to earn on their own. It's right up there as one of the best card games of the year. They also released Teamfight Tactics, which is an online PvP auto battler game. The auto battle genre is a little bit newer. You build a team, you duke it out with other players, and you hope you wind up on top. You don't really control combat all that much, but the strategy is delivering the right stuff at the right time. Teamfight Tactics is also cross-platform with its PC version, and both games are pretty good. Dead Cells is a new Roguevania and one of the best that we've seen in a long time. It's basically a mix between a roguelike game and a Metroidvania. The roguelike portion of it includes mechanics like permanent death, while the Metroidvania mechanics include an interconnected world. It's a 2D platformer at heart, and players jump around, beat up bad guys, defeat bosses, and progress through the game. It also has controller support, no time limits, and tons of little nooks and crannies for you to explore. It's a few versions behind the PC version, so players who try both may have different experiences. The lack of in-app purchases and the truly great gameplay experience help make up for its slightly pricey $8.99 price tag. Levelhead is one of the best platformers in the history of mobile. The game has 90 levels, smooth gameplay, excellent mechanics, and one of the best trailers that we've seen in a long time. You can also build your own levels, download levels from other players, and share your levels with other players. Thus, you get a Mario Maker style experience which keeps the game interesting long after you've finished it. The settings have features for speedrunners if you're into that sort of thing, and about the only knock against it is the lack of controller support. We do hope they add it in eventually. This is from the same developer as Crashlands, a game that won our Best Game of the Year award back in 2016, so you know that it's going to be good. This is one of the really good ones, especially if you like platformers. Sky Children of Light came out in 2019, but the Android version launched earlier this year. It's an adventure game with heavy social elements. Players explore 7 different realms to uncover the game's mystery, and you run into and socialize with other players while customizing your character to your liking. The game has excellent execution, the graphics are pleasing to look at, and the music is actually pretty good. Even the community around the game is super supportive and nice. It's not the most exciting game and the mechanics aren't overly difficult, however, the feel and atmosphere of the game are actually really pleasant. It's also good for people of most ages. Genshin Impact made the biggest splash of any mobile game in 2020. Luckily, it's also really good. It has a bunch of the same gameplay elements as Zelda Breath of the Wild, and that's probably why so many people like it. You play in a large open world, and you even get a glider to traverse longer distances without the need to climb everything. And yes, you do drown if you run out of stamina while swimming. There is a light gacha element, but nothing too serious. The voice acting is decent, the character development is good, and even the music is pretty good. The intro download is pretty big, but the RPG and adventure elements are totally worth it. This is the best of 2020, we're sure of it. And that about does it for this one, folks. This video's list was narrowed down from 50 total apps and games between 2 lists, so I strongly recommend you check out both written versions linked in the video description below to see all of our selections and honorable mentions. As always, thank you all for watching, have a wonderful New Year's, and I'll see you all next year.